And we're live. Welcome back to another Sculpt podcast. I'm here with the beautiful Mandizzle with the shizzle. Mandy, say hi.
Hey.
So, we are going to be talking about a really fun and interesting topic today, and that is dating someone who's a bodybuilder, dating as a bodybuilder, dating someone who's living a healthy lifestyle, dating someone who's in prep. So we'll be sharing about some of our experiences because both of us have prepped before and we both have boyfriends, fiance, boyfriend, and we have had experience with this. So if you are in a relationship with someone as a bodybuilder, whether they are a bodybuilder or not, if you're just living a healthy lifestyle and dating someone, or if you're single and trying to figure out how you want your relationship to be when you are in one, hopefully you can get some info from
Mhm.
us and our experiences. So before we
Yeah.
kick off, um, Mance, is there anything that you want to add to that?
Yeah. I'm very excited about this topic, if you can't tell. The one thing that I would add, especially for like anyone out there listening that is single, and because I was in this place at one point, where I was single, but I wasn't like working out yet consistently or anything. But I was like, ooh, I want one of these like gym boy baddies. I've never dated anyone like super like yoked and like healthy. I've always dated people that were just very not, but I knew I wanted a healthy lifestyle. So I
Yeah.
felt very intimidated, almost like a worthiness thing. But I think that this episode can also help anyone out there who is single and does want to get healthier and might be a little intimidated to speak to someone that's already living that healthy lifestyle and know like, yeah, you there's hope. And you don't necessarily have to have the same lifestyle, but it does help.
Yeah, yeah. And with that being said, of not necessarily having the same lifestyle, I want to jump right into the first thing that comes to my mind is for specifically competitive bodybuilders and being in a prep and dating someone who is not competitive. Because my only experience has been dating someone who isn't competitive, which is my fiance. We dated throughout my first prep, which I pulled out of. We dated throughout my second prep, which I competed twice earlier this year. So I have experience with that, and I've heard stories of how it's like when you date someone and both of you are in prep, but I can't speak on that. And I'm I'm glad that I can't because I like that competitive bodybuilding is my thing. And if he ever wanted to take up on that, I would be so supportive, but it's like this is my time to shine. Okay? Like this is my thing. But with, being in a relationship while in prep, I think that it's so important. Well, not I think, it is so important to be very aware of yourself. It's so important to be aware of yourself because you can't blame being mean, being nasty, being rude, being extremely irritable and taking it out on people that you love because you're in prep. Because the reality is when you're in prep, there will be hunger days, there will be irritated days, there will be days that like you just don't feel like yourself, weeks maybe even because of the extreme of that sport. And that is no reason to put that on your boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, husband, wife, loved one, anyone
Mhm.
who's around you, because you make the decision to do something like a competitive bodybuilding sport or any competitive sport, like whether you're getting ready to run a marathon or you're an athlete, and like it's like that stressful time when it's
Mhm.
the competitive moment of your sport, of your career, and you can't use the hardships of that as an excuse to be a piece of shit. Like that's
Right.
just really what it is. And I also think that it's so important to communicate with your loved one of, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm going through. I'm not mad or annoyed. I'm just really low energy. I'm really tired, whatever the case is, so that they know what's going on. Because just as important as it is for you to not be an asshole, it's also really important
Yeah.
for you to communicate what it is that you're going through so then your person could understand that. Because if you're just tired and quiet, like I, as you guys can tell, can talk my mouth off. But when I'm in prep, that doesn't stop, but it does tone down a little bit. Like it does tone down a notch. So if I'm quiet, my fiance is not going to be like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" Like he knows that I'm tired, that I'm exhausted, that I'm like very low energy. And sometimes before he even gets the chance to say something, I'll say it first. So that way there's no question about, "Hey, there's nothing, there's no problems just because I'm being quiet. It's just what I'm going through." So
Mhm.
jump in, jump in. I feel like I said a couple of different things here. I said not to be an asshole, to communicate. So I know you've had your own experiences here if you feel comfortable sharing or just any thoughts that you have.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so let's see, let's see, back in the day, it was January
Back in
2022.
my day. How old are you?
Um, I was born in the 1900s,
Quite literally, yeah.
technically. Um, no, but let's see. I made the active decision in January 22 that I was going to prep, and I had this warped idea in my brain, like I need to do this before I turn 34 or 35, excuse me. So I was 34 at the time, and I happened to meet my current partner in February. Like a month later, we started dating.
Oh gosh.
And like a few weeks after that, it was like he brought up the conversation of like I want you to be my girlfriend. And I was like super flattered, but also like I had been through the ringer with like so many other men that I had dated, and I was like, I'm so sick of putting myself on the back burner for other people.
Yeah.
I want to achieve this goal I set out. So I like when he sat me down and was like, I really like you. I want you to be my girlfriend. I was like, threat identified. This poor man.
Red light.
I was like, wow, thank you. I'm so flattered. And I'm like, but also, I need you to be aware of like this goal that I have. And like, it
Yeah.
is important to me. Nothing is going to stop me from achieving that. And it is very, very time demanding,
Yeah.
very energetically demanding. And because I wanted to prep so bad, I'd been watching YouTube vlogs of like all these competitors that were in relationships and how they were talking about how hard it was. So I
Mm.
told him, I'm like, I've heard stories that it puts a lot of strain on relationships.
Mm.
And and I was trying to be as nice as possible by being like, hey, I'm going to put myself first, but I like you.
I
And
love
if
that, but
you,
I
I was
love
like,
that.
yeah, but I was at a point where I was like, if he walks away, I'm gonna be devastated, but like he walks away.
Yeah.
And to his credit, like instead of running away, which probably like that would have been a red flag if the roles are reversed, instead of running away, he just looked at me and he's like, okay, I understand. Do you have resources or something that I can look into to understand what you're going to be going through and like how I can show up for you better? And I was like,
Oh, that's so sweet.
who the fuck is this guy? I was like,
How do
okay.
I how do I spend the rest of my life with you? Like how do I
What are
keep
you
you?
doing?
Where did you come from? What planet?
Yeah. So I had this preconceived notion in my head from watching those YouTube vlogs of competitors. And like retrospectively now, I'm like, some of those competitors are like, I love watching them. Their physiques are crazy, but they're kind of a little toxic at that
Ah, yep.
time.
Yep.
So I had in my brain that I can't date while I'm prepping, which just
Mm.
isn't the truth. Like you said, like the communication part of it is
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, and I wanna add a couple things to that. The first thing that really stood out to me was that you said, well, first of all, that was really sweet. And thank you so much for sharing that because go go him. I don't know if you want me to disclose his name or not. So we're just gonna call him
Oh
him.
yeah, that's fine.
Go him. Go Colin. Go Colin.
We
Good
love him.
job. I love that. No, that's amazing. But I the first thing that you said that really stood out to me was that when you would watch the YouTube videos, you would hear people talk about how it puts a strain on their relationship.
Mhm.
this might trigger some people if, and I'm sorry in advance if you're listening to this and you're in a relationship with someone and there's strain in it because of you choosing to put yourself first and choosing to do something good for yourself. But if there's strain in the relationship because you are going after something that is a goal of yours and it's not like it's a good thing. It's a good thing. You're testing yourself, you're trying yourself. There's a deeper problem in the relationship. And like this could be a whole
Mhm.
separate conversation, but
Yeah.
there should not be strains in the relationship if you are going after a goal that you set out for yourself that you care about and if your partner cares about you. Because
Yeah.
simply put, like it's one thing if you're about to go do a bodybuilding prep and you don't have like the finances to do so and like you're having a hard time with that and then it's affecting your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or whatever. It's one thing if you're, being a piece of shit because you're
Mhm.
not controlling your own emotions and taking like actually looking inwards and putting it out on the people around you because again, we make that decision to do a prep. And anyone who's
Mhm.
listening to this that's not a competitive bodybuilder, please stay tuned because we will talk about outside of prep, but I think that it's just so important to notate these things because it won't put a strain on the relationship unless there was a strain on the relationship to begin with.
That
Like
wasn't
you,
addressed.
that
Yeah.
wasn't addressed. That wasn't addressed. That wasn't spoken about. That you didn't lay out because had you not told him that, hey, I'm gonna need to really pour into myself here. I'm really gonna like I'm dialed in. So if that
Mhm.
means I can't go out for date nights and for a certain period of time until my show, or I can't have like a drink with you, or whatever the case is. Like if that's gonna be a
Mhm.
problem, like then we're not going anywhere. Like had you not done that and you guys just started dating, and then he like asked you to go out for dinner, and you were like, nope, I can't do it, and you didn't like explain those things. That could put a strain on the relationship, but then that's a problem with you with communicating. And like
Mhm.
you can't expect someone to understand if you don't communicate.
Yeah.
So that's a really huge thing. And then the other thing that I wanted to say I forgot about because I'm on a rant over here right now. But yeah, that whole like the strain on the relationship only happens and this actually applies to lifestyle also because if you're in a relationship with someone and now you're choosing to start working with a coach and you're choosing to start going to the gym and you're choosing to start eating better and healthier and cleaner and not watching as much TV and reading more and like just choosing a healthier lifestyle but you don't express this to your loved one or whoever you live with or whatever the case is and you don't explain to them why you're doing it, the benefits of it,
Mhm.
how you're trying to change your life. If you don't explain that to them and you just start changing things all of a sudden and switching everything that you were doing, they're going to be confused, which
Mhm.
by all means, if and there's just like so many things to add on over here, but I just think that whether you're in a lifestyle kind of going to the gym and whatnot, prepping, whatever, and your significant other doesn't understand, it's either that you didn't explain or it's something that's not important to them. And if it's not important to them, but it's important to you, there's a
Writing is on
conversation
the
to have.
wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I
Yeah.
say not important, my fiance, he doesn't really care about the bodybuilding sport. Like he never watched it. He's not a competitive body. Like he goes to the gym, he works out, he tracks his food, he tracks his weight, he does cuts, he does bulk. Like he does that, but he doesn't care about the competitive side of it.
Mhm.
But once he found out that I'm a competitive bodybuilder and that I care about it, it's like he'll watch certain bodybuilding clips with me and be like, "Oh, she's in the center because of this, or she's this, or like, oh, what does it mean to be in the center?" Like now there's interest. So it's not like he didn't care about it before. Like if you spoke to him 5 years ago, like competitive bodybuilding, oh, you mean people on stage all like jacked and
Yeah.
whatever, like, but he didn't know about the sport until I started talking about it. And if I stop competing one day, that's not gonna like make or break anything for him. Like he doesn't, like,
Right.
but
Yeah.
he's there to support it as I'm doing it. So
Mhm.
that's also important too. Like they don't have to be all hands on deck with what you're doing, but
Mhm.
just being supportive and understanding why you're doing it, because otherwise, that's when there's the strain in the relationship. That's
Yeah,
when there are the problems,
for sure. Yeah.
you
And
know?
like, I mean, even going into the beginning of our relationship, I don't know how it was for you guys, but Like
Oh, I was
we
like about to start a prep. Like,
yeah, but like I mean, so Colin was living a very bachelor lifestyle
mm.
and like maybe uh hi honey, I love you. Don't get mad if you ever listen to this. He was eating like frozen pizzas with like a side salad. And like that was
Mm.
kind of like life at home for him. And then we started dating right before my prep. And I mean, I've already been living this lifestyle for a while. So like he's coming over, spending the night, and he's seeing me meal prepping and weighing out my food in all these containers. And he's just like, what is this? And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this is what I do. This is going to be part of prepping, except it's going to be like even more, strict. And he understood about like not being able to eat out or like not that he couldn't. I told him like I'll go with you. I'll bring my meal prep. And
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was he was very much like when we started dating, like I want us to be eating the same foods for dinner. Like in my
Oh,
head, a relationship is we're sitting down to dinner together, we're eating the same foods. And I like kind of was like, I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. And I'm like, you're not gonna want to eat what I'm eating
yeah.
when I'm prepping, and I don't blame you. Because
Yeah.
at one point I was eating like 10 pounds of asparagus a week. But
Yeah, I
like
remember that.
so he came into the relationship not knowing what meal prepping was, not knowing how to weigh food, just drinking water out of 16-ounce
Oh
plastic
my
water
God.
bottles.
You
So like
changed that boy's life, that man's
we
life. Sorry.
we really did. And like for a second I felt a little guilty. I'm like, oh man, if we didn't start dating, he'd be living however he wants to live. But then I stopped feeling guilty because also he lost a lot, like he did a huge body recomp and he was already working out, but then he started working out like smarter and more intentionally and meal prepping and like just kind of like a side effect of being with me.
Yeah.
Not to toot my horn here, but it was
No,
just really cool
but seriously,
because
what
yeah, you influence each other.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And for my little personal story, I when me and H started dating, he was also going to the gym, training. He would like track his protein, but I think he was kind of more so like eyeballing it, and it was
Yeah.
more so it was like a double scoop protein shake, protein bar, maybe like protein chips. Pantry was, he would have like the Debbie's donuts or something because he was
Oh,
bulking. Like
a dirty bulk.
cereal in the pantry, like apple juice for extra carbs, which that's fine, but it was very
Process.
like man, yeah, very like man processed kind of diet. And listen, he was training hard and everything, but also when we started dating and he started seeing like, oh my God, she wastes her food. Okay, like why is she eating this? And like we would ask each other questions. Like I would be like, oh, why are you having that as your pre-workout? Like not like in a judging way, but it's like
Mhm.
just like asking like where his head was with that, and then I would tell him about mine, and we would kind of bounce stuff off of each other. And like I mean, there was a certain point I got cereal too. It was just like a cleaner cereal, like it was a
Yeah.
I forgot what it was called, but it was like a cleaner cereal, and like just bouncing things off of each other. But as he saw me living the life that I was living, it's like, okay, he started meal prepping for work, and he started, instead of cooking this kind of food, he started cooking that kind of food. Instead of getting a pub sub from Publix every single day after the gym for work, he would make his own meals to make sure that he was hitting a good amount of protein and he wasn't. And now it's like, when I look at pictures of we started dating in September and we went on vacation together in December, when we look at those pictures in December versus his pictures from our last trip in wearing like the same kind of clothes, again, crazy body recomp. Like
Mhm.
it's just he got bigger, but he's also his waist is tiny, and I'm like, we would have never seen that. So like that's
Yeah.
which but it's awesome because it's I see how far he came with it. I'm excited for him. He's excited for me. We're excited for each
Mhm.
other, and it's also like he's only getting hotter. Like he's
You're
only
welcome. You're welcome, AJ. You're welcome.
you're welcome, but it's also like I'm
Oh
happy about
yeah.
I'm happy about it, like
Yeah.
so it's really cool because even when I'm not, and I was actually supposed to be starting prep. I had just finished my reverse. I was like in an off season, so I was able to have some outside meals. So we would go out for a date like every 2 weeks or so, and then it like got more consistent. Then when I started tapering down, it was okay, what are we having today for the free meal? And when I would have a free meal, he would have a free meal. So it was also,
Mhm.
even if we were eating the same thing, his portions, and still till this day, we make burrito bowls. I have
Oh,
one
I
bowl, he
know.
has two bowls. We
I
make
love seeing
burgers.
those on Instagram.
We make burgers. I have one little patty because I don't like the bun, so I'll do like potatoes or something. So we make burgers. I have my one patty. This man has four burgers stacked, and but it's still, he now looks at, he really looks at like the back of stuff, and it's still hard sometimes to explain to him all the extra ingredients that don't need to be there. But listen, one step at a time. He still laughs when I buy something organic rather than regular, but
Mhm.
it's not in a way where I'm like, it's not in a bad way. It's more so just like,
Like a little cutesy thing between you guys.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it just, it goes such a long way when you, again, it all comes back to communicating with your loved one of why you're doing it. Because when he understood that for me, yes, it's about bodybuilding. Yes, it's about being a competitive bodybuilder, but it's also so important to me to make sure that I'm fueling my body the right way, that I'm feeling good, that I'm also enjoying the foods that I'm eating. And he's seen me put down freaking donuts and this and that. Like he knows that I could have that and I like that, but that's not a
Mhm.
weekly thing. That's not a bi-weekly thing. That not a monthly thing. Like we'll have our fun when we go away or whatever. But it's
Mhm.
I think it's really important that when you're living a healthy lifestyle, in one way or another, your partner is either
Mhm.
A, supporting that and also a part of it somehow, or B, just supporting it and not trying to like stick anything to you.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
oh, I can't have this tonight, and like he would never put that in front of me. Or if I say, oh, I'm not having a free meal, we're not having a free
Mhm.
meal. And there's been so many times that he would have his food while I'm in prep and whatever, and I'm like, can I smell it? Like, can I get a smell? Can I like just look at it? And I don't feel weird when he's eating
Mhm.
foods that I'm not. If anything, I'm like, by all means, enjoy it. And there's no, oh, here, just have a bite when he knows I can't. Like those little things where you can
That's a
still just
huge
support.
respect thing, though,
It
because
is.
like, how many people have you known before, and not just like romantic partners, but like even friends where that are like, "Oh, come on, just have a bite," or like have one drink, or have one of this, and you're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, like that's my boundary." So,
Yeah.
like when you're dating someone, whether you're in a prep or just living a healthy lifestyle, if you say no and they keep pushing it, like you said, communication is important, but also that respect for
Exactly.
said boundary.
Exactly. And I like that you brought up not just romantic partners because I had two really good friends.
Mhm.
We haven't been friends for years, and I'm not going to disclose any much information on that, but they were the type of friends that when I said like, "Hey guys, like I'll come out with you and I'm going to have my little free meal, but I'm not having a drink, I'm not having this, I'm not
Mhm.
having that." Like, and I would say this in advance because I didn't want to get to somewhere and they would be like, "Oh, look, Sasha's not eating again." It's like, I'm competing in a couple months. So like leave me
Yeah.
alone. Like stop it. And that was my entire first prep. And funny enough,
Mhm.
I actually, not that I was not in any place to be in a relationship during that first prep, and I didn't want a relationship. I wasn't looking for a relationship. I wasn't seeing anyone, nothing. But I also was in a point where I didn't want to hang out around even my friends because my friends were so unsupportive of what I was doing that I was like, if my friends can't even support me, like I can't, like you said, like can't be around anyone during a prep, not boyfriends,
Mhm.
not friends, not even family, even family. Family was
Yeah.
really hard for me because they did not understand how important the prep was to me. And no matter how much I explained it, it was like, oh, you just don't want to participate in what we're doing. It's like, you don't get
Yeah.
it. Like, I'm doing something for myself right now, and it's either you support that or you just don't get me. Like, this is kind of where we're at? So,
Yeah.
with friends, family, partner, anyone, if they don't understand what you're doing, they don't respect it, they don't support it, you're gonna have a really hard time around them.
Yeah.
And when you're in a prep, the less of a hard time you have, the better that your body's gonna respond. And that's why in this prep, it was that was being in the relationship that I am right now and having the most incredible fiance and having the most incredible friends that I have around me is the reason why this prep, I would do it over again 100 times. Even with the
Mhm.
results, even with it not being like the results that I wanted of getting my pro card and going pro and whatever, I would do this prep 100 times over simply because of how much support I had from my tight-knit little circle and how much easier that made it to get to where I got.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That makes such a huge difference. And also, I think like an important distinction too, like for you speaking about family and friends not understanding it. This is in no means us saying like, hey, if you're gonna prep or if you're gonna live a healthier lifestyle and your friends don't understand it, cut them off. Not at all.
No, no, not at
Because
all.
there's a difference between not understanding it and approaching it with curiosity and like wanting to learn more so they can support you, and not understanding it and not being interested in understanding
And
it
judging
and judging
and
and
judging.
projecting because you're doing something that they could never do, which fine, that's fine. Let's celebrate our differences instead of,
Yeah.
you
Being a
know,
competitive bodybuilder isn't for everyone.
it's
Being a
not.
bodybuilder, period, is not for everyone. Going to the gym and taking care of your body, that I feel like everyone should be doing just for their own
It is for
benefits.
everyone. Yeah.
It is for everyone, but you don't have to be a competitive bodybuilder to understand that that takes a whole lot of work.
Mhm.
And like, if you don't get it, ask questions. And if you don't care about it, don't care
Yeah.
about it, but don't judge the people around you that are doing it either, because you don't know
Right.
why they're doing it. And
Unless you talk to them with,
unless,
again, the
exactly,
curiosity. Yeah.
exactly,
And I mean,
exactly.
I will say to you saying like you would do your prep, like this last prep 100 times over. I feel so fortunate in that, like, of course, my first two preps were, I could have done better. I was on the hormonal struggle train for sure. But
I
like
hear
I
that.
also would not change having the people around me. And I'm so grateful I gave Colin a chance because when my brain had two brain cells on a good day, like I never asked Colin once to do anything for me because I chose to do the prep. So I'm like, I'm going to do all of this. I'm not going to ask him
Yeah.
for anything extra. He's already showing up and being a great partner. This man got his phone out and he's like, agenda for the show day. He's like, your hair is at 3:30. From there, I'm gonna drive you to makeup. It's here. And then your show athlete check-in is 8. It's here. I'm gonna drive you there. And he's like had all of it planned out. And he put in his truck a cooler with my meal preps and like the refeed that I might need for in between prejudging and finals. And like we had a jar of pickles and rice and the carbs and everything. And we're
Yeah.
ready to go. And I'm like, for as much as I think I taught him about like meal prepping and getting your water in and like working out but also having rest days, he also taught me a significant amount of like what it is like to have that support system.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I didn't be like I gave him a chance,
Yeah. No,
basically.
I hear that. I hear
Yeah.
that because even when age came in my life, I was still at that point where I was like,
No broke boys, no new plans.
no, nothing. I was like, I'm just tunnel vision
Yeah.
on bodybuilding, and I think that from that experience with the two really close friends that I had,
Mhm.
of them not supporting or understanding my prep or what I do, I was like, well, if they can't understand, and I've been friends with these girls since I was, I don't know, 12 years old. I was like, how could someone meet me where I'm at and get me if these people don't get me, if my friends don't get me, if my family doesn't get me? Like, how could someone meet me where I'm at? And he met me where I'm at and went beyond that. So it's like, I feel eternally grateful for having the love and the support from
Mhm.
my fiance from age and from his family and from our friends and like his friends who became my friends who were all at my shows for both of my shows and just like you said, Colin was like, all right, here's the agenda. Age was like, all right, you're gonna do your self-tan right now, and then okay, when we get here, okay, the venue is 6 minutes away. I didn't even know how far the venue was from the hotel. He was like, the venue is 6 minutes away, and like he's gonna meet us here, and then we're gonna go there, and then okay, there's a Publix here, so we can go get more rice cakes. And I'm me, literally two functioning brain cells. I was just like,
Okay.
okay. I was like, I guess I'm just here for the vibes then. And it's so crazy to think that there was a time that I thought that someone wouldn't meet me where I'm at or like wouldn't support
Mhm.
me or I have to do it solo because in reality, and this is very specific for bodybuilding prep, a bodybuilding prep takes a village. It takes a village. You, as the athlete, are the most important because it is you who shows up, who does the stuff. But if your coach isn't 100% on board with you, if you don't have the support around you, if you don't like, even having one person in your corner, your coach and maybe an additional person, like
Mhm.
that is your village. And then the hair, the makeup, whatever, we could talk about that. That's a whole different talk about what it takes for the bodybuilding show, but it does take so much more to get to be so much more successful because otherwise it's a very lonely sport.
Mhm.
It could be very lonely and my first prep was extremely lonely. It was bad. Like I did great for my first show and for where I was at, but I would not ever want to do that kind of prep ever again. And I won't because I know
Mhm.
what it's like now to have so much more fun during it by just simply being around the people that I love. And the example of, having the two friends who didn't understand me not being able to eat out with them or whatever, like having to set certain boundaries that always comes up for me because this year, when I was a month out from my last show, it was one of our friends' birthdays, and we went to his birthday party, and everyone knew that I was in prep. Everyone knew that I was
Mhm.
prepping. I mean, I posted it all over my social media, so it was like a known thing. So I brought my own lunch, I brought my own dinner, I brought my own snack, I had my electrolyte packets, I had my vitamins. Like I literally came with like my lunchbox, cooler, everything. And I'm eating my own meals and no one was like, oh, like just have this or have that. Not a single person said a word to me. They were like, oh, what are you eating? I was like,
Mhm.
egg whites. Like we were all joking around because I was like literally standing next to the food and I'm like with my egg whites, but there was not a single thing of why are you doing this? If anything, more people were, I admire your dedication and like how serious you are about this. And if
Mhm.
you're a lifestyle client or if you're just in it for the lifestyle, you don't need to be at that extreme, but you could and you should still be setting boundaries around the people like, hey, I can't go out to eat three
Mhm.
times a week with you. I can't go out
Mhm.
drinking three times a week with you because I'm setting myself back. And you can even explain, it doesn't make me feel good. I don't enjoy it. I don't want to do it. It's going against my goals because you don't know who you'll influence to then live a different lifestyle as well. A lot of the times
Mhm.
it takes one person to make a step and then other people could start following. So you could be the person
Mhm.
that makes that first step and other people start following.
True. Very
You
true.
know,
I've seen it time and
Like
time
Colin
again.
followed you. Colin followed you and started living a healthier lifestyle. AJ followed in certain ways what I do, started living also a healthier lifestyle. And it's so cool because not only are they benefiting from it, but we're benefiting from it too. And
Yeah.
then it's, the people around us also ask us questions. Like, I bet, whoever you go to for your services, whether it's lashes or hair or whatever, like, will ask you questions about the gym or weightlifting. And I have these conversations with clients, with people that I meet at the
Mhm.
freaking grocery store, with anyone about the gym, about working out, about training, because they see the lifestyle that you're living. They want to some people might want to be a part of it too and have interest in
Yeah.
it. So,
Oh, I love the questions too. I'm
yeah.
just throwing that out there. Because I love my lash girl. Low key shout out to Mega Lash Studio in Downers Grove. But she will always ask me what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Always, she'd be like, "Oh, did you go to the gym today? Oh, that's awesome." I see people like out and about. I love when I get questions about that because like it's
Yeah.
my passion. I want to talk about it. So like, if anyone is out at the gym, I think I speak for both of us here, and you see us, and maybe you don't even have a question, you just want to like talk, please. Like we'll talk,
Yeah.
obviously. We'll
Yeah.
talk.
No,
But like it
seriously.
is one of the coolest things when like somebody does talk to you or they're like, "Oh my God, you're so strong." Or like, "Hey, how did you learn how to do that?" Or like, "Can you tell me about that?" I'm like,
Unless you're a
"Send
weird,
that
creepy
to
man, then stay back. Stay back.
context." Yeah.
But
Yeah. I- But have you kind of like as a last question here, because you've shared your experience, but like have you heard of anyone having like more of that toxic relationship vibes, like due to lifestyle differences that I kind of mentioned, like from what I saw in those vlogs? Because I did see a couple
yeah.
people like backstage at like my first shows where I was like, oh my God, this is a hot mess. Like, I don't even know these people and they're fighting and they're like at each
Yeah.
other. And I'm like, ooh, but I'm
Yeah.
like also,
Sipping my tea, hanging out in the back. I mean, oh, there's being on social media, you see a lot. You don't know what's true, you don't know what's fake, you don't know what's what, but
Mhm.
in just like personal life, I have seen certain like girlfriends that I would meet at the gym or whatever, and we would be talking, and I would literally get asked questions like, "How is, your boyfriend so supportive?" or "How is it when you're in prep, while you're in prep?" And I'm like, "It's fine." And I know a girl who was in prep not too long ago. I think she might have just recently finished, maybe a month or so ago, and we saw each other at the gym, and she asked me something about literally being in a relationship while in prep and like how do you handle it? And I was like, listen, he knows that while I'm in prep, we're not going out to eat, but that doesn't mean that he can't order something in or whatever. Like, I don't care if he wants to go grab a dinner or lunch or whatever with his friends. Like, there's never been a problem with that because I trust him enough to know that what he says he's doing is what he's doing. Like, that's not a problem.
Mhm.
And I could just tell that it was like a difficult topic for her and that she was like struggling over there in the relationship
Mhm.
aspect because, when you're in a prep specifically and when you're training like that, you're at the gym for a long time, you're doing cardio, you're spending a lot of time cooking. Like I said, you aren't always that, like you are so much involved in you that sometimes it could get difficult because that can also cause for your significant other to feel like unseen or like like
Mhm.
that you're not paying attention to them. And when her and I were talking, she mentioned something along the lines of how she's having a really hard time and that they're like arguing a lot and that they were like fighting and that he left and then he came back and this and that. And I was like, listen, if he doesn't get what it is that you're doing, he doesn't have to be in the sport. He doesn't have to be doing that same lifestyle. But if he just doesn't get it and like he can't understand what you're doing and like support you, like you will have a very hard time in this sport. And I told her this as a friend. I was like, I'm not trying to be mean. I tell it blunt like it is. Like you will truly have a very hard time if you don't sit down and have a conversation. Like, this is important to me. This is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. You're either with me or you're not, because that it could make or break relationships. Because if this is just bodybuilding we're talking about, but if we take it outside of the gym, outside fitness, outside all of this, and we take it to like a bigger level of, doing other things in life, whether it's with kids or
Mhm.
whether it's in a business or whatever, and your partner is not supporting you, whether or not they're doing that, you will have a very hard time living together and
Mhm.
like having life together. And she I think that they had a conversation because it seems like things were better and that things worked their way out, whether it was, from her and I speaking about it or whether maybe, they spoke to someone else about it, like therapy or whatever, which I think those are incredible services and those
Mhm.
could benefit very greatly because there are a lot of conversations that need to be had that are sometimes hard to start and just hard to have. But yeah, I mean, I've also seen on social media how people would just full blown break up, make up, and have all of these things. And
Mhm.
on the in the context of being in a prep, like you can't have that kind of high stress. Like that's gonna mess with your
Yeah.
body. So they're just these are things that you do beforehand. And if you happen to meet your person while you're in a prep or starting a prep, or this is just something that's lingering, communicate. Talk about it. Tell them about it. It
Mhm.
really does come down to that. And yeah, I mean, I've heard the horror stories too. I've heard the horror stories where both of them were where both people were in prep, and then it just like all went to shit and then they both had terrible preps. But I've also seen couples all over, like influencers and just couples who are both in prep and seem to be doing a freaking amazing and taking it to the next limits. And I think that all of that really
Mhm.
comes down to what kind of foundation you have in the relationship to begin with. And that goes for romantic relationships, that goes for friendships, that goes for familial relationships, that goes for anyone that you associate yourself with further than like hello, goodbye, Like what kind of
Yeah.
foundation do you have and how well do you understand each other?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. That was really beautifully put.
thanks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like if anything from this conversation, the bottom line is truly communication.
Yeah.
And
And respect.
let's, yeah, for sure. Like
Communication and respect.
something that we implemented before I started prepping, which I've talked to you about before, is like we will do a monthly communication or like relationship check-in
Yeah.
where we communicate, and that would it was so beneficial. We still do it to this day, 4 years later. Um, and that's just it's a great place, whether you're prepping or not, like just to lay everything out. Be like, hey, what do we like right now in our relationship? What needs more work? Where do I feel like I need more support? Where do you need more support? And then this one, I'm going to say it in context specifically to bodybuilding, but it also applies to regular lifestyle. Um, and we don't have to go like super deep into this one, but for us just starting to date right before I was prepping, a big one for us was communicating about like, hey, energy and libido, like, listen, this is not going to be my baseline, but this is like how and like this is kind of like what to understand and what to expect and like let's talk through it. And if you feel any type of way, like talk to me because like I would rather
Yeah.
talk through it and figure out other ways to grow intimacy in a new relationship than to sit here and get like mad at each other because I have two brain cells and I'm about to like collapse, you
Yeah.
know? So there's I've I could go on a rant forever, but basically just saying like you are so right. Bottom line communication.
Yeah, it all comes down to it, and I wanna, and I mean that whole conversation about the libido and everything, that I feel like when we do our like prep specific podcast, that's a big thing because
Mhm.
people like it affects your hormones, but it affects your hormones. If you get what I mean. So
Yeah.
it affects them, and it's so crazy how the woman's body works. It's actually fucking insane. But to take one
Mm.
step back from the bodybuilding world specifically, it's communication in every single aspect. It's communication, communicating with your friends, with your loved ones. It's having that self-respect to if people aren't getting it and they are judging you and they are hating on you and they're not willing to get it and they're not willing to listen. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you gotta cut
Mhm.
the ties. And I don't want anyone to take this in a way of, oh, my friend isn't on her fitness journey, so I'm not gonna be friends with her anymore. No, because
No.
you might inspire the heck out of her by her seeing your transformation, and it might not happen in a month. It might happen in 6 months. It might happen in a year. It might happen in freaking 10 years when she finally wakes up and is like, okay, I gotta do something about, the way that I feel and the way that I feel like I look.
Mhm.
But if you are truly making an effort to try to communicate with people and explain to them what you have, you don't have to explain yourself to anyone, but if you want people to understand you better, it's beneficial to communicate and explain. And a lot of people struggle with the communication aspect of it, me included. I had a very hard time communicating certain things because I was A, worried about being judged, two, worried about being unheard, like genuinely just like in one ear and out the other, and three, like or misunderstood. So for me to
Mhm.
have communicated to, my fiance and my friends and whatever, like how I was feeling during my prep, during my reverse, like even right now in my off season, like yeah, I could go out to eat once a week and I have a free meal and my friends know that. And like there's, communicating those things and like having that respect, like it was hard for me to break that. Okay, you could talk to people because just because some people didn't get you doesn't mean everyone won't get you. Um, but that's also like work that you do on yourself. So as much as you want other people to like respect you and have that have that going for you, you have to also have that within yourself. So set those personal boundaries, and whoever doesn't get them, they just it could look good on paper, but it doesn't mean anything further than that. So
Mhm.
I um I feel like I can also go on and on and on about this just because of how important it is in just day-to-day life of having that, just having that. Just having that.
Yeah.
But I think that this is a really good place to close out for now. I feel like this is a topic that we can definitely revisit with maybe like very specific to prep or very specific to lifestyle or just different how
Hmm.
to overcome certain situations that you'll have in the relationship of libido, for example, or a gazillion other things because it will come up regardless of where you are at in your fitness journey and what your goals are. And at the end of the day, just be nice to each other, have respect for each other, and peace, love, unity, whatever they say. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'm so weird sometimes with wrapping up these episodes because I could just keep talking, but I think that
And
I could just keep talking, but I think that we really covered a lot of ground here. And hopefully, anyone who is either in a relationship, whether it's whether it's um I forgot the word, whether it's romantic, whether it's friendships, whether it's familial, like please don't leave your significant other because you heard on this podcast that if they're doing something or not doing something that it's right or wrong, like have those conversations, communicate with each other, love each other. There's a lot more that we have not covered and spoken about, but and it's clearly taken work. Mandy's been with her boyfriend for 4 years now. I've been with my boyfriend for my fiance for over 2 years now, and like prior to that, it's taken a lot of inner work to even get to where
Mhm.
we are with friends, with relationships, with everything. So don't just like go ahead and cut everyone off after hearing this if they don't align with certain things that you're doing, but do hold your standards high and hold that self-respect high. But that's all I had to say, Mans. Is there anything that you want to add?
Peace, love, and loves.
Peace,
No, that was
love,
beautiful.
peace, love, hugs. Yeah, all 9 yards. But as always, thank you for tuning in. If you don't follow us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram. I'm gonna link Mandy's down below in the description and mine as well. Subscribes, subscribe, like, leave a comment if anything resonated with you. If there's anything that you want us to talk about on a deeper kind of podcast, and just want to say that neither of us are like relationship coaches or like anything along those
No.
lines. We're purely sharing our own experiences, what's worked for us, what hasn't worked for us, and hopefully just spreading a little bit of extra love, extra knowledge, extra fairy dust. I don't know, something. But I hope everyone who's listening got something from here, and thank you so much for tuning into another one of our podcasts. Bye.